Why, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. My name is Mr. Dogboat333, and welcome back to Hearts of Iron for the New Order as the Far Eastern Imperial Realm. Now, last time we were here together, we started doing some of the political stuff. We're working on reducing administrative strain right now. I was going to work on some grants soon enough. We might go ahead and work on some economic stuff coming up. Do want to get down that poverty reduction rate. There's going to be some debt increases here, but I think that's probably going to be okay. Honestly, the investments here might counteract the debt that we gain. Oh, things to question, things to consider. All things to think about. Well, anyhow, we're going to go ahead and check out the decisions real quick, because I was looking over the break at these resource lending deals, and they actually look decent. We give up the rights to the resources in Buryatia and Irkutsk, but it only seems to appear to go on for 90 days. In that 90 days, we'll get a boost of construction speed, and we'll also get a tenth of a billion of miscellaneous income, which, if I'm not mistaken, I think that's going to go ahead. Yeah, that will go ahead and boost us over the top to the positive of surplus. And then, in the meanwhile, since we have a construction boost, I'm also going to employ some loyalists for infrastructure construction. So we now have low influence for the loyalists in the meanwhile, while that builds up. And our infrastructure is now going to be done. I might need to unpause this. Complete Russian domination in Kazakhstan. That's interesting. Okay. Oh, so we're going to lose communism, fascism support. That's actually going to be nice. Boris Shepanov was not pleased. It had been several months since his armies had achieved victory over the Empire's foes, and yet, despite his best efforts, the lingering remnants of his past enemies continued to find ways to be a thorn in his side. Today he called a meeting with the West of the Right Army's general staff to make his displeasures unknown. Gentlemen, please explain to me how, after supposedly destroying our enemies, they are still out there killing troops and giving me a headache in the process. There was no response. No doubt Chapanov's generals were spending the silent moment formulating excuses rather than providing answers. Well, I can assure you, sir, that while these insurgent actions are indeed a pain, they are nothing to be worried about. General Mustafin's tone did not exactly stream confidence. I predict that they are too insignificant to persist for much longer, and they will fall apart on their own given enough time. Pardon me, Leonid, but that's bullshit and you know it. They're out here right now killing our men and trying to undo all the hard work we've accomplished. And you're going to sit there and tell me it's under control? Do you even have a clue what's going on? Silence again. No one wanted to be next to face their superior's wrath. Well, it seems you fools had the audacity to claim victory without finishing the war. That ends today. I want all of you to send your best men out to start making arrests. After this week, I don't even want to hear a peep of dissent. Understood? We'll no longer suffer traitors on my watch. No more half measures. Well, there we go. Let's do... We're here to stay. Another brief pause in the extension of our administration outward would lead to one to examine all the progress we've made in the past few months. From an administration whose territories were held only through the strength of the military to a fledgling, functioning state with provinces whose pacification is well underway in their administration already bringing reports. It may have been touch and go for a while, but now, with the flames of uncertainty dying down and our administration looking like it's been solidified, we can truly say that we're here to stay. Now, that's what I like to hear. There's our economy kicking along. Yep, we got the surplus coming along. We're even starting to pay off some of that debt. It's beautiful. Grigor's eyes darted from one end of the alley to the other. He tried his best to look as though he were in control, but in reality he was terrified. Gone were the days where he and the rest of his companions in the RFP could act with impunity. His two friends, however, did not seem to share the same fear. Wizards are now, Jew. You thought you could come here through our part of town? We still run things around here, and no war's gonna change that. Grigor's friends, clad in distinctive yet poorly maintained RFP uniforms, towered over a man on the ground. They dragged him off the street and immediately began harassing him, just like in the old days. I just collected the census. I'm not even Jewish! His pleas for clemency were met with ferocious barrage of kicks. A shout rang out from behind McGregor, drawing the attention of all three of the fascists. A pair of white army soldiers were approaching, weapons at the ready. The sight caused Grigor's stomach to turn. Step away from him! And put your hands in the air. Now. Oh. The dogs of Azar are finally here. We're just having a nice chat with one of your people. Grigor could feel death bearing down upon him as he turned towards his friends. Hey, wait, we should... His thoughts and speech were interrupted as one of his friends drew their weapons. Grigor didn't even have time to call out before his soldiers fired. As the bullets tore through him and he fell to the ground, his face landed next to that of the man his group had been terrorizing. Their war is over. Oh no. Anyway. I would really prefer to have something to boost our economy with the Japanese. There are all of these, which are fine. I'm willing to do anything that will help with our poverty right now. I don't see many options like that, though. Oh, well, I want to put a cap on the debt right now as much as we can. Meanwhile, we are getting a decent amount of GDP from some of our miscellaneous programs, which is quite nice. How are we doing? We're coming along with all this. We're going to get some extra miscellaneous revenue when this is done as well, which will add up quite nicely. Well, we are here to stay. So, in the meanwhile, let's do... We have a little bit of, I think that's from selling the convoys, which we just got done. Well, do we want to decide now what we're doing? I think I'll refrain. Let's go onward and outwards. Now we've trumped our rivals in the Far East, we can finally turn towards the rest of the world. There's a lot of issues that we need to deal with in the immediate future, at least in terms of the international community. However, there are two paths ahead of us that are confident in taking to ensure that we are confident in taking to ensure the very least we see some interactivity with foreign powers. First, we shall contact the Japanese, who have until this point been very favorable to us in their dealings, as they have been in the years past. Secondly, as a legacy of the White Movement in Harbin, we only known internationally as one of, if not the only, true successors to the Russian Empire among the Russian emigres across the world. We should play to our advantages and invite both the Japanese and emigres. The former recognize us officially, and the latter further assist us in lobbying for future international approval, as well as providing additional benefits to when they finally return home to us. Well, there we go. Mikhail was expected to attend a state meeting with some foreign diplomats later today, and he had yet to pick out an outfit. Kind of stuttering a little bit today. I don't know why. Unfortunately, it seems that everyone else in Chita knows the fact as well, and ever since Vizar had woken up, they've been hounding him with questions as to what his wardrobe would be. Even some of the generals have been participating in discussions and debates, much to Vizar's worry. Was his outfit really such a big deal? This stress of the decision left Vizar paralyzed within his bedchamber, a variety of outfits laid upon it. Some of the generals had argued that a simple, quaint quality suit, would show modernity was more appropriate for the meeting. Others had argued Vizar's outfit must display his proper glory, and that a simple suit would make him appear mundane and bland. Mikhail thought that this a fairly accurate portrayal of Vizar, but they chose to ignore his thoughts on the matter. Maybe Mikhail's wife would know what outfit would work best, but she was a world away from him. Luckily for Mikhail's paralysis was solved by an exasperated Shepanov who barged into his bedchamber, chose a fairly elaborate outfit, and threw the rest haphazardly into Mikhail's closet. It reminded Mikhail that he only had a few hours left to prepare, and slammed the door shut before he could respond. Mikhail couldn't even pick out his own outfit, and yet he was supposed to rule all of Russia. If he simply tried going naked, that should shut them up. You're not wrong there. Oh, there goes the Christmas War. Well, that's not going to give us any GDP, so I'll refrain on that for now. There we go. We got our surplus ticking along. We have some better industrial equipment as well. Which that's going to increase our GDP factor. Environmental development. A bunch of good stuff. I forget if that's going to do anything to help our economy. I forget which ones do. Administrative efficiency. So when we get that passed, that's going to help our economy out a fair bit. I want to be a little frugal at the start of things. Lacerda and the OFN, interesting. Is that going to be liberal conservatives? Lacerda, okay, non-imperial. And BUVF, okay. I saw the Ulster appearing up here. I was curious how long that was going to last. Evidently not too long. Well, in the meanwhile, let's do some emigres abroad, get some more. Actually, all this is really good. We don't really get many downsides. Let's do this. Emigres abroad. Well, for our conquest of the Far East, we have once again put ourselves as a real, if not obscure, blip on the international map. One of the unexpected, but certainly welcome side effects of this has been the revitalization of the waning white emigre movement. Survivors of the Civil War, their children. These emigres exist worldwide with significant populations in Europe, Harbin, and the Americas. For our diplomatic situation stabilized a little bit, it's time to appeal to these emigres. We shall ask for donations from those from most interested and available, as well as promising repatriation to all immigrants who come to the Far East and serve our government in the reconquest of all of Russia. We expect the first wave of our most dedicated and ideological immigrants to come shortly. That's what I'm talking about. Construction Brigati is coming along quite nicely, actually. Well, there goes the Volksstadt. We live in the managerial age after all. There we go, so. Real population, political power, drift defense. Supply range, taxable population factor. That's what I was looking for. Heck yeah. That will be quite nice for us. Can we improve? We can do resource extraction. That might give us more tradable goods, actually. Alright, we gotta renew the military austerity. Oh, there goes Indonesia. Alright. Military austerity. There we go. We got that surplus going. There goes Vitishuk. And we're going to get some extra money kicking in now after that. Our poverty rate still isn't great, but once we get the academic base, it's going to start finally going down. Industrial expertise. Is it expertise or equipment? It's equipment. So I think I'm going to refrain from that. We could do... I think joining the economic sphere would help, actually. Let's do the new favorite. When our oral alliance with the fascists split soon after the slowing of our offensive in the 50s, during the collapse of the Soviet Union, the Japanese soon made Rdzevsky their golden boy, so to speak, showering him in his black shirts with Japanese material, training, and basically anything that you could dream of. In exchange, of course, for the implied Japanese influence in the nation that he would theoretically unify. Now that we have triumphed the RFP and established a true RFR being as the white movement, the Japanese have once more approached us in hopes that they could salvage the relationship that they once had opposed. While true they would previously already accept Japanese help, now that the Japanese are coming to us rather than the other way around, we may have a new, more privileged negotiating position. Regardless, we've become Japan's new favorite in the Far East. There we go. Buzz. She opened her groggy green eyes as she awoke from her slumber. Tired, she had spent much of the previous afternoon hunting and slept late. Recklessly, she stretched herself awake. She had seen some strange things in the past few days, but the noise was new. Walking out of her cave, she squinted at the sight of the sun over Lake Baikal. She always hated the morning light. It was why she slept in so late, at least when she was disturbed by loud noises. Yet as her eyes adjusted to the light, what she saw confused her. The dam on the lake seemed bigger. Boxes and machinery had been moved in front of her cave, and the boots of the humans had arched around like they owned the place. Boom! The loud noise had startled the Manual, causing her to sprint out in commotion. Turning around, she saw her former home destroyed as the roof collapsed in from the explosives of a construction crew. At the same time, confused workers looked at the isolated Manual, now left vulnerable out in the open. Frightened, she ran east through the camp. She weaved through the machinery and boxes around her new, now unfamiliar surroundings. Recognizing a stretch of wood, she stopped as she analyzed the best way through the remaining construction. However, contemplation was short-lived as the sound of a missed shot rang out next to her. Terrified, the Manual bolted forward, leaping out of the camp and into the comparative safety of the wild. She started running until she could hear the men and see the construction no more. Relieved at her safety, she collapsed on the ground, rolling in the dirt, screeching. Yet her relief was short-lived as she realized the circumstances of her situation. A new home would need to be found all over again. What's the Manual to do? Interesting that Sikkim is still kicking around. They're Reliant State of India, I guess that makes sense. Same with Bhutan, it would seem. It's interesting that Tibet owns a state. I wonder what the reason for that is. Seems we could sell more convoys. I think I might do a naval rearmament program. I think that's going to help us build more convoys, which I will happily accept. Let's see, logistics. Scroll down to convoys. We have 56 convoys. So we could get the next generation of, or the next upgrade of the, whatchamacallit, going. Very descriptive, I know. Oh, there's the NPA. What was I gonna say? I forget. God, it's like one in one. I thought one in one end and just out the other without me thinking of anything to respond. How's our surplus going? That's beautiful right there. A new favorite. So now we're in the economic sphere. I forget if this even does anything, I'll be honest. But, here we are. Let's head down to here. Let's do some Asian diplomatic exchanges. After having no shortage of painful runnings around with the Japanese delegation in Tokyo, they have agreed to convince the other members of the Spirit to engage in diplomatic exchanges with us. Their embassies will be established in Chita, while our embassies will be established in their respective capitals. This is not all, however. A part of these diplomatic exchanges that we have secured for ourselves include Russian academic and scientific teams visiting places like China, Japan, and Indonesia. I don't think they want to go to Indonesia right now, but that's besides the point. To examine the vast industrial and economic technologies that the co-prosperity sphere has implemented over the years since their victory over the U.S. These examinations by our scholars and intellectuals will mean that they will return to our territory ready for the implementation and application of these technologies and principles throughout our land. There we go. Let's get working on some more infantry stuff. Who's out on the specialist training? Feels bad. Not bad enough. I'm gonna cry too much over it though. Improve. Oh, so this is what improves our poverty rate. I think I'll do the lease again. I'll export resources extraction in the Yakutia area as well. That'll add back onto our debt, but it's like taxes again. That's also gonna go down. Plus, we can lease out resources more to pay off more. It's gonna balance out well. I'll return to Kingdom of Denmark, you say? Yeah, so just kind of existing right now. Borman's eventually going to annex them, I believe. I think they do have Netherlands and Denmark. I believe that's what they do, at least. It's been a while. Improved academic base. Well, this is something to be celebrated. That doesn't decrease the poverty rate as much as I remember it doing, actually. Okay. I misread the decimal placement there. Industrial expertise will move up, so we'll get more GDP growth. Military professionalism is coming along, too. Let's remember the Zaibatsus. Despite our reluctance to do so, the Japanese have insisted that a prerequisite for the cooperation recognition that we are to grant a number of concessions to their economic megacorporations, the Zaibatsu, who have long looked towards our research-rich lands with greedy eyes. Unfortunately, at the moment, we're not in any position to flatly reject the proposal. However, this does not mean we have resigned to the Japanese dominating our nascent economy. No, we've already begun to plan how to circumvent this unique economic situation that our new benefactors have imposed upon us. However, in the meantime, it's time to publicly acknowledge the benefit that the Zaibatsu have brought us and prepare for their landfall in the Far East. There we go. I think that should do well. It looks like Indonesia's kind of kicking ass right now, it seems. Yeah, I'm not massively shocked by that. Trying very hard not to make a Ninja Blevins joke after saying that. I want you all to know that. I said massively. I didn't say the raw verb here. Well, here begins the conflict between West Russia and Finland. Can't say I'm overly optimistic for Russia, especially in the recent patches, but you know what, we'll see. We got a lot of growth going economically. It's quite nice. Honestly, if Japanese investments are probably going to be just about justified. Let's do imperial corporations to actually improve the dockyards. Part of the reason Japan's economy is such a powerful force in nature is Zaibatsu. These financial conglomerates control much of their economy and are the key driving force behind the Spear's financial institutions. To build a functioning, powerful economy of our own, perhaps we should look to Zaibatsu for inspiration and foster the creation of our own business grants. Sponsored by the Crown, we shall establish a series of imperial corporations. The corporations will serve a similar role to Zaibatsu and will hopefully grow to be a formidable economic force in their own right. To better ensure the corporations have the opportunity to grow, they will be given a great deal of privileges and be allowed to operate as they see fit so long as their interests do not conflict with those of the Empire. If all goes to plan, the Imperial Corporation shall be the greatest weapon in our economic arsenal. Well, there we go. Also, let's employ loyalists for naval construction as well. I want to get more of those convoys going. Do I want to do a state fishing armada? Yeah, for the population. And meanwhile, we could sell some basic convoys. So we'll do that. Meanwhile, how are these programs going? They're still expanding. Gonna need a while before we can mess with those. Resource extraction is done. We have no inflation right now. Look at that. It's actually kind of crazy. Well, the emigre stuff has gone away. That was only going to be temporary. So I'm not shocked by that. Alright, I think let's go ahead and jump into Japanese investments. I think now is going to be a good time to do it. It's also going to increase our GDP, which will help us out generally pretty well. With the fall of the RFP, our government has become the inheritor of their contracts with the Japanese and their business interest, while previously their support only came in the form of war material and covert aid. Our unification of the region means that the proverbial door is officially open to the Japanese. There's no reason why this shouldn't be encouraged. The Zaibatsu have much to offer, and their investment would be a significant boost to the economy. Let us reach out to them and let them know that our Russia will be an enthusiastic and willing partner. We have producing states. Let's do... Could do dockyards. I don't have... Actually, we could do... Very few more dockyards out here. Military takeover in Bolivia. While in the meanwhile, we do have this going on, which is quite nice. More GDP growth, more societal development progress, which I don't actually know what that means, I'll be real. But it sounds good. So you know what, I'll take it. We'll come around to getting out of widespread cronyism. That's when we'll finish up our military tree. Gold burns once more. The warlord insurrection in China. That's gonna be fun to see. I had a couple. We just got 2,000 subs on the channel. Not just, but relatively recently got 2,000 subs. Which, first off, thank you all again for that. I do appreciate that. I got a couple suggestions. I made a community post asking people what they wanted to see me do for all of this. For the 2,000 subs. And one of the suggestions I saw was the warlords, which I thought was quite interesting. So, you know, I think that might be the special right there. Could redirect the workforce. And we just improve our industrial expertise. We did, so let's do this one to prove it. When a brave soldier departed from Harbin, we were a mixed group. When our brave soldiers, departed from Harbin, we were a mixed group of fascist conscripts and czarist ideologues. Fortunately, a great many of the whites in Harbin, reluctant and cynical about our attempt to reconquest, stayed behind. Over the years, these emigres, or the most prominent of them, became quite close to the Manchurian reform bureaucrats, involving themselves with Manchukuo's large and healthy industrial sector. Now that we've established ourselves in the Far East and proven to these once cynical emigres that we're here to stay, only the most traitors would think not to join us and bring with them all the industrial expertise they've cultivated over the years. See, that makes sense to me. Coming along. Logistics, convoys. We have 74 convoys. We're building about a convoy a day. This is the Imperial Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Nikolai Utomsky speaking. I'm afraid I have some news you're not going to like. The familiar voice made the foreign minister cold. My partners are receptive to your offer of an economic partnership. However, they demand concessions. Concessions? What? We've given you quite enough already. I suggest you alter your tone, Utsumoski. My partners want to ensure that the Zaibatsu can conduct their business as they see fit within your borders. I trust this is not too much to ask, yes? Well, we'd be more than happy to accept their business, but you know the Zaibatsu would have us by the balls in no time if we give them the chance. Forgive me, Utomsky, but I don't believe you're in position to bargain. You either accept the benefit our business has to offer or don't. For the record, I would argue that this conversation would not be necessary if we were dealing with your predecessors instead. The man on the phone was right, and Utomsky knew it. Damn it, fine, you'll have your concessions, just no more surprises, alright? I knew he would see it our way. I will be in touch. With that, the line went dead, and Utomsky slammed the phone back in place. Still just gets worse by the minute. The minimum wage is a little rough. But, I mean, it's going to get less bad eventually. Let's up our motorized equipment. I don't even know if we're doing anything motorized equipment, but let's work on the new gen of it. We got more production units. Let's put them towards civilian constructions. Very nice. And just like that, we lost the production unit. Oh, 429. That's my birthday. It's very nice to see. Yeah, we lost a fair bit of them. Alright, well. Let's see how well Samara deals with that. Let's do the resource lending. Honestly, let's develop the domestic imperial industries right now as well. It'll take us over $1 billion, but I'm not too afraid of that right now. I don't need to live like Dave Ramsey with all of his stat avoidance. Let's go across the ocean. Great numbers of emigres, instead of fleeing to Arbine, instead went to Europe or the Americas. While the Nazis have imposed a current of terror over most of our lands they conquered and secured, emigres who still can come from Europe, and those who are most willing to do so from the Americas shall do so. Firm promises of repatriation and involvement in the government through privileged positions have already enticed many, and will surely do so for more emigres, attracted by the prospect of a true restoration of the empire. With these new emigres, especially those from the U.S. and England, bring with them their academic background and highly educated children. This steady stream of men and women from the more learned parts of the world will serve to increase our ability to educate the next generation and help create a real educated base for our Russia. Got more dockyards. You guys already know what that means. It's convoy time. Just like that, we can sell another 100 convoys, sell another 10 on top of that. Yeah, this is all coming along quite well. I forgot that was still going on. Jesus. Let's do a little bit more military austerity. Not that it's gonna do much, I think, in the grand scheme of things. But we don't need to spend money on the military right now anyway, so I'll just keep that on the DL. Italy joins the OFN. Now that's interesting. Interesting to see that actually go well for America this game. Not worried about. Let's redirect to the workforce. Despite all the grumblings of things like human rights, our prisoner scheme proved to be an overwhelming success. Fortunately, now that the duties are mostly completed, we once again have a large pool of prisoners with nothing to do but sit in their cell and wait their freedom. Perhaps another use can be found for them. Our nation needs more factories, and the civilian workforce is once again proving to be less than adequate. The time has come to wrangle the prisoners once more and redirect them towards the goal of construction and production rather than reclamation. These criminals and traitors shall continue to repay their debt through service to the Empire. Now that I can get behind. Didn't they break away? Yeah, I thought they did. Blasted cold Siberian air was the first thing to meet Nikita Alexandrovich as he made his way out of a plane and onto the tarmac of Kadala Airport. Despite all his meticulous preparation, it seemed the prince had still managed to underestimate the frigid conditions of the region. Pulling his sport coat more tightly, Nikita continued his descent towards the large group of men who gathered to greet his arrival. Chief of Staff Boris Shepanov was in front of the gathering, eager to receive Prince. "Prince Nikita, your highness, allow me to be the first to welcome you and your family back to Russia." Nikita gave a courteous smile and extended his hand to Shepanov. "Greetings, greetings. It's good to be back." The prince, now flanked by his wife and two sons, Nikita and Alexander, tilted sideways to look at past Shepanov and into the crowd behind him. I say, where's my nephew? I would like to speak with him. Well, I apologize, Your Highness, but His Imperial Majesty was feeling a bit under the weather today, and I'm afraid he was unable to be here. I'm sure he would have been delighted to meet with his family otherwise. Come now, let's get you and your family out of the cold. Shepanov gestured for the royals to accompany him, and they obliged. Despite what the general said, Prince Nikita found it rather odd that his nephew was not among those who had come to greet his arrival. The prince was greatly looking forward to a reunion, and he figured Mikhail felt the same. Whatever kind of malaise the Emperor had come under, he thought, it must have been rather severe. Well, it's good to have them back. That we have the royal family coming back. We're gonna have royalty newspapers now. Actually, they won't be around because it goes again. I don't think we have free speech over here. But it's a funny idea. Oh, but the will do poverty relief programs as well. Because we are going to be paying that off soon. Not all of it, but a fair bit of it off. Ah! Prime Minister Shepanov, please come in. President Chita motioned for Boris Shepanov to enter his home, who was clearly not in the same gracious mood as his host. I apologize, Your Highness, but I'm afraid this is not a social call. I came to give you some rather heavy news. I see. Let's go to my study. Nikita's attitude had gone from warm, courteously to that of slight confusion. Shepanov's tone was rather dark, and he was cause for concern for the old prince. The two men headed for Nikita's personal lounge, a rather secluded and quiet spot in his dacha. The curtains were pulled close, making the room's atmosphere rather bleak. Taking a seat, Shepanov folded his hands as he began to speak. Nikita, I have reason to believe that your cousin is plotting to overthrow the government, or already taking measures to prevent this, but I thought it would be best to bring this to your attention. Nikita stopped in his tracks. Cousin? Overthrow the government? That's insane. He's our czar. What more could he want? It's unclear this time, Your Highness, but you know that he cannot remain in his capacity monarch while plotting treason against his own country. As the only Romanoff present with a strong claim, you shall be the one to take his place. Nikita felt pressure building in his chest. This was certainly a lot of information to handle at once. He hadn't spoken much to Mikhail, but he never thought of him much as the type to try to something as assertive as this. Still, Nikita was not entirely above accepting the crown of his forefathers. From one puppet to another. No family loyalty. Jeez. Interesting. Oh, they have a Stroessner. He's a bit of a hard ass, from my understanding. I'll keep an eye out for when these next pop up. The railroad would be nice there, actually. Let's get that stockyards pumping out. And then, are we doing okay equipment-wise? I forget. No, we could use some improvement. Let's get the cutting-edge equipment then. Factories might be an important part of any modern economy. Without the proper tools and equipment, they operate at a pace that would be kindly described as suboptimal. Due to the nature of our situation, the manufacture of new tools is not exactly something that is within our means. Luckily, our bonds with Japanese and Zaibatsus have only grown stronger over time, and we can use this to our advantage. Japan's industry is one of the most modern in the world, and goes without saying that their cutting-edge industrial equipment plays a large role. Let's work out a deal. Surely an economic power like Japan has plenty to go around. We're willing to share with their friends in Russia. And there goes Colombia. Placing the artillery shelling assembly line his 100th of the day, Andres sighed and, looking back around to see if a warder was watching, stretched his aching back. A former fighter in Makovsky's faction of the RP, Andre had been captured during the fall of Magadan. After a short time spent in Azara's prison camp, wondering as to his ultimate fate, he had suddenly been issued simple tools and sent to an iron mine near Chita. Long hours spent underground had driven him almost to the point of insanity, nearly destroyed him, physically besides. Just as suddenly, however, he had been ordered into a truck and within short order found himself in a munitions factory. Assembling and polishing artillery shells was hard work, but it was nothing compared to mining. Even there were many more guards watching him now. He supposed he couldn't blame them. Placing former enemies in proximity to high explosives would have given him pause as well. But they had nothing to worry about, at least not from those smart enough to properly understand their situation. Even if escape or sabotage was possible, there was nowhere to go, and Makovsky was gone. As stressful as the work in the factory was, it was a far better sight than that of the mine. The food and barracks were better as well, so Andre would work, and work harder. One day he knew the Tsars would have to let him go. Until then, however, he would work. Finishing his stretch, he returned to his attention to the production line. He had hundreds more of shells to finish before the day's end. A mandated workforce. But hey, it's a workforce nonetheless. I'm going to leave things there, my friends, but thank you as always for watching. If you like this video, if not, feel free to dislike, leaving comments, feedback down in the comment section below. I read all the comments I get, and I do appreciate any feedback you might have for me. Hit the sub on the notification bell to keep updated with uploads as they come out. And yeah, I'm going to leave things there for now. Thanks as always for watching, my friends. My name has been Mr. Dogbot333. I thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.